Chapter 9. Home. Fortunately, we did not remain long in Oliver. We were able to find a Berri resident who had delivered the last of his cargo to the city, and he offered to give us a ride back. We took it easy as we relaxed on the back of the wagon. I was still emotionally fatigued, but I did my best to remain engaged in conversation, especially since it now tackled more sensitive issues. The wagon ride was smooth, but whenever a jolt or bump happened, I would stir or bolt upward. However, I was able to have a nice nap for a little while. My eyelids fluttered as I heard Ilmari and Kerr's voices drift in and out. Bring it up to Master Arcelio. It's about time the Caphreus Seraphies looked beyond the skylands. Good luck getting them involved, pompous dragon kind. Do I need to turn that up? That was very low. Does that help a little bit? Sorry if that's low. Is this being... Yeah, it should be more... Okay, sorry. What really concerns me is how Heavenkind even found the Siphus remains. They shouldn't have any means of accessing them.
Leave it to me.
I'll see if Master Bedros will arrange a meeting. Right, and I'll have to break this to Master Kaya gently. She'll be even more reluctant getting involved. I can imagine her reaction. Oh my, this is why you shouldn't interact with Heavenkind. Ilmari burst out laughing at the high-pitched voice. She doesn't sound... Okay, she does. You're more observant than I thought. Because she's always with Master Bedros, and I'm stuck listening to her uptight... Ah, you're up. Planning to sleep the whole afternoon away? I yawned, rubbing my eyes as I surveyed our location. We were passing through the birch forest near Berri, and I was situated between Ilmari and Kerr, their shoulders grazing mine. Yeah, I'm up. What were you two discussing?
Well...
Just a lot of stuff we have to do once we return, sooner the better. His face fell as he said that, but he forced a smile to reassure me. And Kerr was entertaining me with his imitations. I wasn't even trying, but I could probably do better than Aura. I thought back to the scene in the forest when I poked fun at him during a meal. I admit it wasn't the most accurate impression. Kerr grinned teasingly. Hi, I'm Auralee from Berri. I let my sword do the talking and... Ow! I elbowed him and grumbled. I deny all that. Ilmari found the whole thing amusing. Me, imitate me! Kerr and I exchanged a smirk. I have a question. I have another question. I do not ask that many questions, do I? Ilmari, that was another... Ah! The wagon bumped abruptly and I bolted upright, clutching my chest to quell my reaction.
Whoa.
Aura?
Are you okay?
I felt my friends hovering nearby. As my heart calmed down, I sank back into my original position between them. I'm okay, just startled. I hope you don't mind me asking, where did this fear of earthquakes originate? Huh?
I'm sorry.
Sorry to pry. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. It would have helped if I'd known sooner. Didn't even notice. It's alright. It's not usually brought up, since it's rare for me to get caught in earthquakes or tremors. I ummed and heard until I figured out a good beginning point. It started when... Well, when I was younger, my family lived in Oliver. I would follow my mom everywhere when she did her patrols or visited different places. Now that I think about it... Although some parts were still a little hazy, I recalled being thrilled because I was going somewhere that had a lot of knights. Their brilliant armor, their beautiful shining blades, and how I dragged the wooden sword around awkwardly. It was at the academy. It was being expanded on, and some parts were in the middle of renovation. I ran off somewhere. I think I wanted to find armor room or something. Anyway, that's when the earthquake hit. I don't remember much, just everything seemed to collapse around me. After that, I couldn't ride in carriages or even enter large buildings without crying. Mom decided it was better for us to move away from Oliver and the memories associated with it. It took a long time, but eventually I got over certain fears. I focused on my night training, hoping to be stronger. Of course, my mom wouldn't send me to the academy. She's always been averse to night academies for other reasons, but my well-being definitely was one of them. Wow, that's the first time I've ever told people this story. Aren't you too lucky? No, I really appreciate it. I'm glad you trust us enough to tell us. As an earth dragon, though, I can't stand for it. What? He gave a wry grin.
Leave it to me.
You got over some fears. If you like, I can help you get over this earthquake one. No, that won't be necessary. You sure? I'm certain if I delivered small tremors, your body will eventually get used to it. Think of it as a cure.
What?
That's terrible. That won't help me at all. What would you call that torment anyway? There was an awkward pause before Ilmari spoke up. Shock treatment? I groaned and shook my head, yet I couldn't help but chuckle at his feeble pun. Congratulations, Ilmari. You've mastered heavenkind humor and everything there is to know about our culture. There is nothing more to teach you. Kerr glanced between us quizzically, as if determined to figure out the pattern. I don't know. I felt the delivery was a little rocky. Ilmari burst out laughing. I could only gawk at Kerr, who seemed pleased at his own joke. I made a cross with my arms. Banning this, banning puns. As we pestered each other relentlessly, I slumped down and glanced at the sky, wondering when the interactions had become second nature and routine. And it was all coming to an end. Not that we could help it. They had amends to make for running away. And now that we've uncovered something rather unsettling, they had to return a report to their masters. Once we reached Berri, the driver was kind enough to stop in front of my family's home. I eagerly hopped out of the wagon. It was evening, and I could see light from within my house. I barely touched the doorknob when the entrance flew open and my mother hugged me tightly. Mom! For a moment, I couldn't breathe because she embraced me so tightly. When she finally let go, she grabbed my shoulders and examined me. You're home. Congratulations on saving the world. Mom, I didn't do anything that amazing. Did you become a knight? Are you happy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad I went. She hugged me a second time. That's what a mother really wants to hear. She glanced up. Come in, we're going to have dinner ready in a bit. You're probably all starving. Your dad's currently preparing some warm apple cider. Nice, I haven't had that since last year. After Mom ushered us in, she disappeared around the corner while I pulled up a seat at the table. Kerr even joined us this time. What's apple cider? Ah, it's a sweet liquid. Tastes like, well, apple tarts. He stood up and slammed both palms on the table. I went through the whole journey without knowing such a thing exists. He looked as though his best friends had betrayed him. Surprise! Not deterred, Kerr decided to see how my dad prepared dinner and vanished as well. I hope my dad isn't making that alcoholic cider. Alcohol? It's something you add to drinks and it makes people silly and giddy.
I have a question.
Will we be able to partake? I crossed my arms and shook my head fervently. That was a disaster waiting to happen. Oh no, that's banned. I'm not dealing with drunk dragons. Ilmari looked completely baffled, but inquired no further thanks to my unwavering expression. Regular cider will suffice. Promise. We had a festive meal, along with the toast to our journey and the bonds it had forged. We excitedly told our stories, careful to avoid the more sensitive discoveries, as we did not want to cause unnecessary concern. My sides had never hurt so much from laughing before, and my mouth ached from grinning all the time. However, each sip of cider seemed to lose its sweetness whenever I thought about tomorrow. Right, they would leave in the morning. When dinner was concluded, I urged my friends to get some fresh air since I would help with the cleanup. They would probably want some time to themselves to reflect or visit a location anyway. I trooped up to my room and laid my bag out. Everything felt so familiar and welcoming, like I had never left. Sensing a sort of routine, I snatched up my blanket to use as a shawl. Might as well. This would probably be the last time to meet them like this. Ilmari was settled by one of the apple trees, its orange leaves visible even in the dark. Instead of waiting for me to sit down, he got up eagerly and approached me.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out to see me. I wasn't sure if I should bother you at your house. I wouldn't have minded, soaking in the scenery one last time. Yes, I love it here. I'm not sure when I'll be allowed to visit another heavenkind town again. I couldn't hide my dejected expression, and Ilmari fidgeted anxiously. Without warning, Ilmari embraced me tightly. I'm really going to miss you. I wanted this journey to go on forever. Same here, Ilmari. How long will you be gone for? You'll be allowed to visit at least, right? I'll do everything I can. I'm going to see if I can encourage writing and recording in dragonkind culture. It'll probably lessen the roles of knowledge keeper somewhat, but then it'll allow us more freedom. We let go, his hands still clutching my shoulders. Ilmari, it sounds like you're going to change the system.
Of course.
It won't happen overnight, of course, but I'll be sure to promote more heavenkind and dragonkind interaction. If you keep up your reading lessons, I promise I'll write letters to you. I'm not even sure how they'll arrive to where you are. I'm guessing you don't have an address.
What?
An address? His lips quivered and he hugged me again. This is so unfair. You still have so much to teach me about heavenkind, about you. I know. Believe me, I feel the same way. I rubbed his back comfortingly, letting my fingers comb through his hair. I devoted my memory to the form of his figure in our embrace. Nothing more needed to be said. We remained in the hug for a few more minutes. When Amari's shoulders stopped trembling and his breathing calmed down, I slowly stepped back, dropping my arms. I really can't thank you enough for everything. I'm grateful that I got the chance to join you and Kerr. At least you two will stick together from now on, right? Yes, but what about you? I'll be fine. I'll keep myself busy. You won't be the only one with your hands full. That reminds me, where is Kerr? I need to say goodnight to him, too. I think he's closer to your home. Huh? I thought he'd be further away. He likes the pastry scent that your house has. Figures. We burst out laughing. Remembering the blanket, I draped it around Amari. You sure you won't be cold tonight? You could always spend the night indoors. He shook his head, but held the blanket close to his chest.
Thank you.
Kerr and I will be fine. I'll see you in the morning, Auralee. I departed on a high note. Now I just had to find Kerr. Ilmari was right about Kerr loitering near my house. In fact, he was resting against the wall outside as I peered around the corner. Surprise visit. Stealth is my strong point. He arched an unimpressive eyebrow.
Annoying.
It wasn't surprising at all. I heard you stomping all over town. I was not stomping. I was walking normally. I plopped down in front of him, resting on my knees. He sat cross-legged, his hands gripping his ankles. Looking forward to being back to normal tomorrow? I half expected a blunt yes or a grumbling agreement. Instead, I was answered with an awkward silence. Kerr? He snapped out of his trance. I guess. At least I won't be pathetically weak. Believe me, you are still plenty strong in this form. You'll probably lose your ability to punch, though. Can dragons even do that? I'll be the first one to try it. He made a fist and mimed a fake punch to my forehead, nudging it softly. I giggled.
Look,
Now it's all coming down to this. I guess I might as well say a few things. Is this another reluctant confession? He let out a sheepish chuckle. More willingly, promise.
thanks.
I wanted to say thanks for everything. I admit I was a pain at first. I probably didn't make it easy for you, right?
Right.
You didn't have to agree so quickly. I guess I was really quarrelsome. I regret not opening up to you earlier. I feel like I created a lot of unpleasant memories. I punched him lightly on the arm to dissuade his conviction. What are you talking about? I look fondly on them all, even our bickering and petty arguments. I like to think we've matured since then, at least a little. Speaking about confessing, there's a small question that has been nagging at me ever since we met. I never asked because I knew you'd get upset. I'd like to think the Kerr now will answer differently. And what's that? Can I touch your ears? His hand met his face and he groaned loudly. Oh, fine, just for a moment. Still on my knees, I positioned myself so I can lean over better and extend my arm. He glowered at me, but in disgruntlement, but I ignored his expression as my fingers rubbed his scale-like material. Wow, they really are as hard as rock. As I let my fingers graze the grooves and crevices, Kerr's irritation vanished and his eyes lingered downward to my neck. Wondering if I made him uncomfortable, I let go, but he reached out and enveloped my back with his arms, pulling me close. Kerr? He nuzzled my neck, and I pulled away in surprise. What are you doing? Something I wanted to do when we were on that patrol, before a certain person panicked. Ah, so that was it. Did you seriously think I was going to bite you? Well, you moved so suddenly, and my mind went blank. Necks are vulnerable. When a dragonkind exposes their neck to another, it means I trust you. When you rested your head back, I thought it was a sign, so I requited. Then I pulled away. Talk about mixed signals. Tell me about it. I let out a sheepish giggle to ease my nerves. I apologize. I trust you, Kerr. Gingerly, he lowered his face once again, and I tilted my head to the side in response. He delicately nudged my throat with his nose. He stopped moving, and I could feel his breath on my neck.
Leave it to me.
When I return, I promise to learn how to master that transformation spell. That way I can see you again. I'll have to become a better pupil to master Bedros, but I think it's about time I took my studies more seriously. Ilmari and I will do our best to maintain strong relationships between our races. Never thought I'd be saying something like that in a million years. He pulled away so he could see my face, his hands now cradling my shoulders. Heavenkind aren't so bad. I still small and annoying, though, and ignorant about Ishtra. Are you referring to Heavenkind in general, or just me? Heh, I wonder. We exchanged a quick hug and both stood up. I'll see you in the morning, then. Good night, Kerr. Night. I gave him a small wave and retired for the night, my heart feeling heavy about tomorrow. Sunlight filtered through the curtains. I intuitively rolled over to grab my scabbard, which was propped up on the side of the bed frame. I sat up, clutching the sheath, and chuckled to myself. Old habits die hard. It's not like I'm a knight now. Just as I pondered on whether to retire my weapon to a plaque, my door creaked open. I drew my sword instantly.
Whoa!
Kerr's face briefly before vanishing behind the door.
Hell?
The heck? Stop doing that. Are you supposed to knock before you're supposed to knock before you enter a girl's room? I sighed and sleeved my sword before attaching it to my belt. Then I opened the door. Is this how Heavenkind normally act? It's how I act. Your mom did advise me to knock if I wasn't awake before I am now. Couldn't sleep that well? We both exchanged a strange smile. Same here. Had a lot on my mind. Downstairs, my dad was setting breakfast on the table. I heard Ilmari and Mom's voices drifting in from the kitchen. Curious, I moved closer to hear their talk, but Ilmari addressed me before I could even see them. I'd appreciate if you didn't eavesdrop on this conversation, Auralee. Sorry. I heard my mom laugh, and I decided to respect Ilmari's wish for now. Guess he wasn't happy the first time I did it. I glanced at Kerr, who gazed intently at the floor, and I realized he was able to hear the conversation clearly. I wanted to ask, but instead I poked Kerr's shoulder to get his attention. I'm going for a quick walk. Want to come with, or will you stay here? I'll go. Outside, the air was crisp, and there was little activity compared to the first time Kerr and Ilmari visited Berri. After spending all that time in Oliver, I had no idea I would miss my hometown that badly. What will you do when you get back, besides being a good student to Master Bedros? Fight off every dragon who infringed on my territory while I was gone. Why am I not surprised? Kerr's ears picked up. As he turned around, I followed his glance. My home was still within our sight. We spotted Ilmari, who quickly joined us on our stroll. How was the talk? He mustered an apologetic smile to appease me. About that. Kerr and Ilmari exchanged looks. I told your mom about everything, about what happened with the merchant ventures. I gasped and waved my arm in disapproval. You what? I didn't want to cause her any worry.
I'm sorry.
I know. However, your concern is valid. About Argent Valerie searching for you after what happened. Your actions were likely reported, and we don't know who the merchant was working for. If we had just had Ilmari eat him, that would have solved everything. Wait, you wanted me to what? No, that would have made it worse for sure. We were fortunate that no one was seriously hurt in that skirmish. I wish we handled it better. What if the guild was aware of the cargo, so I still be treated as a thief? Did this happen because they were ignorant about your ways? Should I notify a council member? I ruffled my hair, feeling my mind getting muddled up. Try not to overthink this. There's too many unanswered questions. I think the best method is to directly talk to one of the wise dragons for now.
I promise.
You've already done so much for us. Let us return the favor. We'll take care of it. You probably won't be much help at this point anyways. Kerr. No, Kerr is right. I don't have much influence, and I'm definitely expelled from the guild. I doubt I could become a knight now.
I'm sorry.
We should have come up with a different plan. If Kerr and I had seized the contents instead of you, I wouldn't have minded taking the blame. It's good. There will always be freelance work in Berri, and I can make an honest living as a mercenary. I might talk to Mom about me overseeing the escort missions, and I'll be sure to check their cargo from now on. And you're okay with this? I noted the bitterness in his voice. Huh? Just doing menial tasks after giving up your first dream? You can do better than this, Aura. Well, I'd like to assist you guys, but you said I wouldn't be much help. I only said that because it's true now. I thought you'd try to rise up to the challenge. After everything we've been through, you could be Heavenkind representative. Do something outside of your mom's name? I folded my arms and muddled over the idea before turning to Ilmari. Is something like that possible? Me being some sort of envoy? Ilmari squirmed under our inquisitive stares. Well, it's viable, but you would need to be well versed in Heavenkind history, politics, how the council works, and of course being knowledgeable about Dragonkind. That sounds rather difficult. Ilmari frantically shook his head. No, I think you can do it. I'll talk to Master Kaya and Master Bedros about it, and recommend you. As long as you don't need to write a letter of recommendation or something. Besides, if Kerr wants to help me, he'll have to brush up on his studies too. What? Oh, so by we, it was I'll leave everything to Ilmari? Kerr let out a light cough to hide his chagrin.
Leave it to me.
I'll be more dutiful as a knowledge keeper from now on. My specialty was supposed to be about Heavenkind anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you, I'll be counting on you, Kerr. I'm still not confident I can make rational decisions on my own yet. Anyway, if I can prove to our masters that Auralee will be a reliable ally, well, it shouldn't be hard with the accounts I'll be reporting. It's something to seriously consider, Auralee. It'll be a role that I'll highly value those knights' virtues too. Probably a little less sword fighting, though.
Let's do this.
Even so, I'm sure it'll come in handy if we ever come across another Merchant Ventures episode. But being a representative does seem to demand that I'll have to be more worldly.
Right.
Maybe I should go on another journey again. To build Nope. Kerr and I were startled by the outburst while Ilmari shook his head pleadingly. Without us? Well, I'm not sure how long you two will be gone. Ilmari claps his hand tightly, his expression serious.
I promise.
We'll come back soon, promise. I'll work extra hard and keep Kerr with the transformation spell so we can travel again. Ilmari, she can do what she wants. Don't pretend you don't care, Kerr. You did stay longer than what your master originally intended for you. Kerr hastily glanced away. I know this is selfish, but what if you leave and we can't find you? Or you get in trouble with the guild? Or, can you remain in Berri for a little longer? You can still study and refine your skills here. You didn't mind churning butter, right? My lips stretched until I couldn't hold my laughter anymore. Oh, you two, are you jealous that I'll be going off on some grand adventure without you? It's not like we can't do the same. We've been in Oliver long enough. Ilmari and I would get by competently. You still have a lot to learn about Heavenkind. Hey, I know how to pay for apple tarts. Yeah, because the price was always the same. You never actually learned how to count money, which you would need to travel. And you both still can't read the job posting, so you're stuck. You've never slept in an inn, hired a carriage, read a map, or anything like that. And you two would still run off at the marketplace, distracted by everything. Ilmari sheepishly pressed his fingers together. I've gotten a little better at that. He balked under our dubious stares. I have so. I let out a pretend compliant sigh. Admit it, you two would need me to help you yet again. Besides, you would actually go without me? Their meaningful smile said it all. Just don't take too long, okay? It's going to be lonely. I promise I'll wait for you two.
I promise.
Promise.
Leave it to me.
We'll be back before you know it.
Thanks.
We should head back. I don't want you leaving on an empty stomach, and my dad makes the best pancakes. I would encourage you to pack an extra lunch for the road, but your diets would probably be different by then. It's not Heavenkind, right, Kerr? Just the annoying ones. It's not anyone. Auralee, what other lies did he instill in you about us? I'll sort this out. I chuckled as we headed back, ready to enjoy one more meal together. I present these offerings to pray for a safe trip, and... Hey! Kerr snatched one of the apple tarts I laid out in front of the dragon altar. What? They're an offering to us dragonkind, so they're obviously mine for the taking. Ugh, no, that's not how it's supposed to work. I futilely tried to snatch the treat out of his outstretched arm, but he placed a hand on my forehead and held me away. Ilmari appeared and smiled at us in amusement. Nice to see us all energetic. Despite that, we were a despondent edge to his voice, and his smile drooped. He approached the altar, and after some hesitation, knelt down and put the glass-blown ornament beside the pedestal. Kerr and I immediately stopped our teasing, and I touched Ilmari's shoulder in concern. You're not taking it with you? No, I think it'll be better if it stayed with you. Kerr and I will be working together, so I want you to have something to remember us by. He gauged the size of the cave. I'll be outside. Kerr needs to be close to the altar to transform back, since his master has to completely remove the curse. Right. Meet you outside. I thought about leaving as well to give Kerr some space, but I paused when I saw him pick up the discarded walking stick from long ago. He twirled it in his hands, then looked at me. This brings back lots of memories. He poked me with it, and I shielded myself with exposed palms. Hey, hit me with that, and I'll confiscate it. He laughed and turned it sideways as he presented it to me. I hugged the stick close before propping it against the altar, beside Ilmari's blue ornament. Besides the missing apple tarts, I hope it was satisfying offer to the wise dragons. I stepped back, lingering close to the cave wall. Kerr knelt down, then glimpsed my position. You, need to move back.
Right.
Oh, right. I shuffled back a few paces. Farther. Here? No, farther. Now you're just messing with me. Have you ever seen an earth dragon before? Just you and your heavenkind size. Which is not an accurate representation, as you'll see in a minute. I practically hid the cave at the corner, expecting a flash. I shielded my eyes and slightly averted them. I heard some mumbling, but I was too far away to comprehend it. As predicted, Kerr was engulfed in a bright light which expanded and took shape before materializing into his true form. Aww, he's so cute! He's so cute! Unlike the lithe and serpent-like water dragons, the earth dragon was bulky with powerful limbs, folded wings, and overlapping armor that ran down its neck to the end of its tail. It had rock-like juts protruding from its elbows and knees. I gasped and cautiously took a step forward. The ears and the earthly tones reminded me of Kerr, but I underestimated how fearsome he would appear in his true body. Kerr? He took a step, his large weight causing the cave to tremble. I immediately grasped the wall, not wanting to pitifully kneel down in fear. His large eyes widened, and his next step was more cautious, like a cat getting ready to pounce. I know. Tremors aside, I could still take you in a fair fight. A proud snort was heard, and his head loomed over me before lowering. I'd like to see you try. His voice was deeper than a natural growl to it, but it was definitely Kerr. Kerr nudged me with his snout, and I took an unstable step back. Easy there. Sadly, we can't wrestle on the grass playfully anymore. Come on, Ilmari's waiting. Ready to go?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see you two off as well. It'll be a nice walk until we reach the river. Kerr, why don't you give us a ride? Kerr flapped his wings indignantly. Or, your teasing is rubbing off on him. I was actually thinking the exact same thing. Can you fly me at least, please? He folded his wings and grumbled, expanding a claw in the dirt. Unless there's a mountaintop I can glide off of, my wings are pretty much useless. I gave Kerr a blank stare as I slowly registered the news and couldn't hide my disappointment. Aw. What do you expect from her earth dragon? That's like expecting Ilmari to walk on land. Hey. At least I can move around in this form. You, on the other hand? I started laughing. At first it was a simple giggle, but it soon grew into a full chuckle. I don't think it was purely from their antics, as I realized that my eyes were moist and I blinked it away. I'm really going to miss this. I wanted to ask for them to stay, question whether they really had to go back, but I knew it was hard for them too. When we reached the river, Ilmari took a few reluctant steps forward before he twirled around and hugged me close.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything, Auralee. I promise we'll see you again. I'll help train Kerr so he can transform on his own as well. Is it a difficult spell? Ilmari's loud sigh explained everything, and he eyed Kerr warily. We dropped our arms and parted from our embrace. It'll take time. For now, we have to explain the full situations to our masters, which will most definitely strain the relationship between Dragonkind and Heavenkind. Kerr hissed and fluttered his wings. What a hassle. But it's something they should be made aware of for now, before the situation potentially gets worse, or else there will be real tensions to worry about. Yeah, that makes sense. I jabbed my chest with a thumb. I'll be busy providing services to traveling merchants passing through Berri for now. I'll make sure all shipments going in and out are verified. Not as glamorous as knighthood, but I think it's important. I'll definitely consider that representative role too.
Let's do this.
Now get going, we're obviously stalling. I backed away, giving Ilmari some room. The mist enveloped him, and a large shape stretched and loomed before me, followed by a splash. When the fog had evaporated, Ilmari's neck and head were still visible from above the water. A thought occurred to me, and I motioned for Kerr to lower his ears. Hey, Kerr, do me a favor. I reached up and patted his muzzle. Give Ilmari his beach back. His nostrils flared, but he made a small jerking motion with his head that resembled a nod.
Thanks.
Good. If you do, I promise to visit you both. Somehow. Like a puppy demanding attention, Ilmari nudged my shoulder with his snout until I turned and patted it as well. Play nice, you two. We'll be fine. Take care, Auralee. Satisfied, Ilmari retreated into the river while Kerr began walking upstream. I was surprised Kerr didn't vocalize a goodbye. However, he glanced back momentarily, and I smiled to myself. He didn't handle partings that well. Take care, Kerr, Ilmari. I fought the urge to run along with them, and instead waved at them fervently until they disappeared from sight. Knowing I would break down sobbing if I continued to stand there, I returned to the cave. I smiled wistfully as I picked up the glass ornament and the crude walking stick. Once I had arranged them in front of the dragon statue, I made a prayer to the altar. Not sure if this communication works between anyone or just between dragonkind. I should have asked. How silly of me. But, please take care of those two for me. They're both important to me, and it'll be lonely without them. I have a feeling they'll be preoccupied with a lot of things before we can see each other again. Satisfied with the conclusion, I sauntered outside of the altar with Ilmari's gift in my bag and Kerr's walking stick in my hand. The vivid redness of autumn had died, replaced by bare trees and a noticeable nip in the air. The heaviness I had felt in my heart disappeared, replaced instead by a strong optimism. I knew I would see Kerr and Ilmari again, but for now, I have to finish my patrol first. I never thought I'd miss those. Yay! So there you go. That was the visual novel of Autumn's Journey. I liked it. I thought it was cute. Very, very good. Not drawings. The drawings were cute. A good storyline. I'll go ahead and let the credits go. I like the idea of the dragons and how they were drawn. Oh, that's a cool one. I like that one in the corner. Okay, there you have it. That was Autumn's Journey, the visual novel. You could play it for yourself. This only had one ending, so this was pretty much it. So, okay, and thank you for watching.